and AANP December 23rd. So I passed both of them.
So tell me, how did you prepare? How long were you in the course? What did you do right? What would
So
you have done differently?
So I will tell you upfront, I am currently a family nurse practitioner with about 9 years of internal medicine experience.
Ooh,
And before I joined your class, I graduated back in August. It's a certification, right? And then I
okay.
actually went ahead and took the board, ANCC, at the beginning of October, and I failed it.
Okay.
And then a friend of mine, because I went in there confident because I see most of this patient and I prescribe most of the medications, right? But
Right.
a friend of mine told me about your course and I enrolled, I think it was October 22nd. And then I
Okay.
was with you for about 2 months and about 2 weeks.
Okay. 2 months
But when
and
I
2 weeks.
Yeah, so but when
Okay.
I started, I took the first test, the pre-diagnostic exam, and I think I scored about 60 or 67, something like
Okay.
that.
So
But
that is the free, or that is this diagnostic test right here?
this one here,
Okay, so it's not the free one. Okay, got it. You score about 60. So I love your story because it really tells the picture that I've been wanting to say to everyone today. This is not an easy task, guys.
yes. So, but what happened was that I did talk to you, on several occasions as we go
Mm-hmm.
through the classes, and I was here for every, Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursdays. So what happened? So I started preparing, and then when I took the diagnostic 1 to 4 on the first trial, I was getting like 82, 83, 84, 85.
Okay.
And this was 2 weeks before my exam. And
Right.
then a week before the exam, I started again with, diagnostic 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I was averaging, I think I got 94, 95, 96, 98.
Right.
And I listened to the whole lecture and I will tell everybody, I mean, even at work, I mean, my work, I have opportunity to study. So I still go through the handout and everything. But your class was what prepared me for the exam. And I was so confident when I was taking the exam, I was so comfortable and I finished way ahead of time, before my time was up. And then the next day I went back in, I was quiet and calm and I took my ANP. So the content is pretty much the same, even though your class is kind of geared towards ANCC, but once you learn
Correct.
the content and you're sitting in there, it's just pretty much the same,
It flows,
question you
right?
keep
It
going.
flows. But
So I
I
will
think
tell everybody, you don't need anything else. This is enough. If you study, you are going to be fine.
okay. So I think this is actually beautiful because an hour before this class, I was having almost an indigestion because I was answering some emails and people were like, I'm testing 2 weeks. How can I pass the board? And I'm not the one who's going to put people down, but I'm thinking to myself, in 2 weeks may not be to your best interest to test. As you mentioned, so the first time you took the board and you didn't pass, how did you prepare?
Well, so I bought a review questions because I was already
Okay.
practicing. So
Okay.
I in my mind I was like, okay, I think some
I
of these
got
things
it.
are very familiar. So I bought a review question online, and I was just doing that question and rationale. That's what I did for about a month, and that
Yeah.
was not enough, obviously, when I went in there. So I didn't pass. And
It was
then
not. It's not enough. It's
yeah,
not
so
enough.
by
It's
the
not enough.
time I finished your program and went back the second time on both exams, it was so easy.
It
To me,
was
I was
so
like, I've
easy.
never taken an exam, so I was so comfortable. Just so when I answer questions, I recognize the question, I recognize the answer. So it seems so easy to me.
Right. So, and that is what the magic is. I actually want to cry right now because you're telling exactly what I've been wanting to say this the whole time along for the students. Because I answered 3 emails today and people like, I'm testing in 2 weeks. What can I do? Well, if you haven't gone through the content, we can try to adjust it. But I feel uneasy because this stuff, it's a lot of mysterious at time, cultural questions, not what you would answer in real practice. And there is a lot of board questions that is not what we do in practice. So it's very difficult, specifically if you are a nurse practitioner, because you are moved by common sense. And sometimes
Mhm.
the answers are not common sense. So unfortunately, right?
Yes.
Uh, so I feel so, I feel so uneasy to tell the students like, look, I wish your best for you. I don't, you can stay with me for 3 months if you want. You can stay with me for 4 months if you want. I'm not charging. I'm not asking you to stay longer so I can make money. There is nothing like that. But each one of you guys are so important that I get anxious when I hear emails. I had 3 emails today, and I get so anxious because I know most likely some of them will pass regardless. But even if I lose one student, it's one too many, and I don't want to do that. So I'd rather take the longer route like you did, 2 months, and preparing you so well that when it comes to the test, it's going to be easy. I promise you it's
Yes,
going to be
yes.
easy.
And that's what
And
I would tell everybody. I know some of you have a time that you want to pass the board, but just prepare yourself. And like I said, I went through the material, I listened to your lecture, I went through the PDF. I mean, this was like every single day for 2.5 months. This is all I was doing, nothing else. Just read, study, listen, read, study. So when I went into the exam, it was so familiar that when I came back, I told my wife, I said, I've never taken an exam so easy because it was that easy for me.
yeah, and what I tell people is that it doesn't really matter too much what tests you take as long as you prepare well. You
Yes,
prepare yourself so well that became impossible not to pass, became unreasonable not to pass. And then it also comes along with feeling confident. As you walked in there, you are not nervous. You felt that you prepared. And preparing is what takes the anxiety away, being
yes.
prepared.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So
And one
yeah.
other thing I want to tell them also, it's so during the first exam that I failed, I was given the two dump sheet that you have to write on. Well, at the
Mhm.
time, I didn't know what to write on there. I didn't write anything. It was blank. But by the time I went for the second exam, I filled both of them within that 20 minutes. I was able to put everything I need to dump in there within 20 minutes. So I was able,
Yeah.
referencing back and forth to the sheet. So it was so easy. And I'm telling you guys,
Right.
if you study this material and listen to the lectures, you will come out and you will be saying the same thing that I'm saying now. It was easy.
Yeah. Well, I, what is your name? KZ? No, it's not KZ.
No, actually, my name is Nicholas. That's my
Nicholas. Okay,
yeah.
Nicholas. So we talked over the emails too, right?
Thank you. And I'm
Yeah.
going to find out how to join your medication class. Is that on your website?
Yes, it's on the website. Or you can send me an email. I can send you a coupon as well. So I'm all about, helping you guys. I think the medication class, it is outstanding, but it is not easy. The board class is a lot easier, but that's where you are now, right? I mean, you've been there. You've been there for 9 years as internal medicine. Us as providers, we have this special power where whether we want or not, we influence other people. And knowing your medication is very, very important because it can ruin a life or make it better. So I really think that knowing the medication so intimately, it is the core of your success going forward. So if you spend 8 weeks and really knowing the medication so well, you doesn't matter where you go, you're gonna thrive and you'll be able to ask for more resources because you're definitely worth it because you know your stuff, right?
Yes. Thank you, Dr.
So
Lopez.
I really appreciate Nicholas. Thanks for stopping by and encouraging everyone else. So I really, really appreciate that. Send
Thank
me an
you.
email, please.
Okay, I will.
Thanks, Nicholas. Bye bye. All right, Carla.
Hi, Dr. Lopez. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
I am good. I'm fantastic. I am wonderful. Thank
Good,
you. Thank you.
good.
Thank you. I,
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember when you did your life course, a crash course, 2 times ago, 2 months ago,
yeah,
and I said to you, it's not clicking. And you said to me, go back and review. Go
hmm,
back and review everything, all the material, life course, the crash course material.
right.
I did that, and then it started making sense.
It started making sense, and you
I,
passed the board too, right?
yes, I did.
I
I'm so,
know, I
I'm
know.
so
Like,
happy.
guys, I get chills. Even, after done this 3,000 times,
Yeah.
I get chills. All what I wish is that everybody kind of learn from people's mistake, right? We all learn from each other. There is no one that's smarter than the other person. I mean,
Yes,
these
that's
are,
true.
these are real students that just went through. Please don't rush the test. Don't rush the
Yes,
process. There is nothing more to pay. It's all included. It's not about money. It's just I
mm,
hate to see failure. It,
yes.
it gives me anxiety when I see it. So, Carla, how did you prepare?
As I said to you, when I started September 26th, I signed up with you, and I was moving fast because I wanted to do it in 30 days. But
Yep.
when I came to your crash course, I said to you, it's not making any sense. It's not gelling, because honestly, I felt I didn't feel prepared. You said, go back.
Right.
I did that. And then I did 1, 2, and 3, and I improved. My first one was 69 when I first joined you, when the
Right.
first diagnostic test. When I redid it, I think I got 84.
Okay.
And I've gotten, all my tests were in the high 80s, 84, 80, 88. The last one was 89. I never got 90, which it's a bummer, but it was okay.
It's okay. It's a learning process.
Yeah. And I read your crash course review so many times, all the way to the exam. I read through all the 3 documents, plus the last document you put up with the neurons, neurotransmitters.
Right.
And the thing I noticed when they ask me about neurotransmitters, they're not asking about all of them. They ask like which one is the most important. They're asking you. The answer is only one neurotransmitter. It's not like DNS. It's like the first one. Which one is the most important for any illness? They asked me something about the Brady Act, and I think it's the Brady Act. They asked me about what act prevent people who have mental illness from owning guns. There was safety, Brady Act, the Tarasoff, and another one that we cover, but I decided to put the Brady Act. I think it is, because I don't think there's a safety act.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really talk about the task, but
okay.
Sorry. No, it's okay. What I wanted to emphasize is exactly what you said, right? What I want to emphasize is exactly what you said. Knowing the crash course review so well.
Yes.
This is your roadmap, guys.
Yes.
But I don't like it to recommend just the crash course review, because I mean, you need the whole content.
Yes, I did everything. Yes.
Yeah. But as you come towards the end, this is your focus. Knowing this so well is going to serve you so properly for the board that you already knew that you passed even before you finished, right?
Yes, I finished the exam, went back to the restroom, and then went into my car and checked my email. I'm like, yes.
Yes. You already knew.
I was so calm. I can't believe I was so calm. I just shut everybody out, I just shut everything out and just focused. Because this was my one moment.
Your one moment. And when I tell people, like, this is to me, is my wife here? I don't know. It's like my wedding day, right? The special day, because this is when your biggest leap in professional development, right?
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Oh my God. Okay. All right. So almost like my wedding day. Okay. So because it's a special, right? So from now on, you no longer a nurse, which is a beautiful thing to be a nurse, but you are calling the shots. You have a big responsibilities in your shoulders, and we owe this to the patients. So it's very important. And life will be, it's so much better. I have done all kinds of ICU, nurse, ER. I mean, seeing your own patients at your own accord, it is a beautiful thing. So thank you, Carla. Thank
you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Make sure you email me if you want to take the psychopharmacology call, so I can give you a nice discount as well. Okay.
Thank you so much. And
all right.
All the best, guys. Good luck. Follow the blueprint. Bye-bye.
Follow the blueprint. All right, let's get some questions here real quick, and then we'll get started. Today's event is not very long. It's about culture, laws in psychiatries. These are easy hanging fruit, and we are going to cover everything. I just want to answer a few questions before we get started. Rika, hi, how are you?
Hi, Dr. Lopez.
Hi.
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you? I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great. Getting ready to, start the year.
Great. Me too. I want to be one of your success stories, and I'm following your program. I'm actually in the finishing up module 6.
Okay, great.
I was planning on scheduling to take the first diagnostic test this weekend, but I was just a little confused with the set 2 question bank right underneath the set 1.
Okay, so don't worry about it. These are questions that I will be releasing soon. But honestly, we have 500 questions there, plus 175 times 4 plus the 600 questions from the crash course review, you guys do not need more questions. Basically, as long as you're following the program, it is the same thing that everyone else have used and passed the board. So these are things that I gotta find time, because releasing questions without being thoughtful causes distress, and that is the least thing I want to do. So I have to be very careful taking the time to release them. But don't worry about it. You don't need it. They are not needed, because everything you guys needed, it is in the course right now. And I know some people always want more, but go ahead and take your diagnostic test. Once you take your diagnostic test, as long as you're scoring more than 80 or more, then pause a day or two in between and proceed to the next. But the most important thing is knowing the crash course review documents. And that's one of the reasons I'm kind of stopping here today and making sure that everybody knows this is very clear directions for you guys. Please know these 4 documents, at least these 3 documents. The last one, it was like, people, can you do a document with medications and neurotransmitter? Fine, I did one. But this is not the core. This is what causes people feel stressed, because they think the board is about medication. The board is not about medication. Yes, you will get medication questions, but you don't need to know medications in depth. What you guys need to know is these 3 documents. Know it so well that becomes unreasonable for you not to pass.
Okay. Got it, guys. So I'm able to take the set 2 after I complete all the 4 diagnostic tests. And I don't need to.
Yes. So have you done the crash course review questions?
The crash course review questions?
Yes, you should, depending when you join the program, you should have received an email from me what says crash course review questions. So these are questions to practice for the crash course. So basically it's another 600 questions.
Oh, I don't believe I've gotten to that yet.
What I'll do is actually I'll send it out to everybody, those 600 questions, probably by Thursday. And then, for those that are testing sooner, we'll have a crash course review coming up on the 24th and 25th. So that way you guys can practice. So basically what we're doing, we're practicing before the crash course review. So that way when it comes the time, we kind of be like, I got it. Please tell me something new, All right.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. All right. Next person is, real quick, let's get started. Jacqueline. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Dr. Lopez.
Hi.
I passed.
Whoa. You got so many good news, guys. I can't.
Oh my God.
I know you would pass.
Yeah. So I all last week or the week before, I was sick. I had the flu. I couldn't study.
Oh my.
But even up to last night, I'm like, maybe I should cancel the test, because I don't think I'm quite ready. And like, Dr. Lopez is gonna be mad if I take it and didn't pass. So anyway, I studied. I did the diagnostic test. I was in your crash course a couple of weeks ago, and then I watched them again on the videos, and I just did the questions, did the test, and I started with the pre-diagnostic test before you start that. I think I was in the 60s, and then I moved up to 80s. So I'm like, okay, but I'm telling you, if you practice those tests, those exams, you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone so far told the same story. They practice, they listen, they revise it. They didn't show up and say, hey, I'm going to test it, right? So there is a lot of work to be done, but the test is very doable. What you guys need is right here. You don't need nothing else, I promise you. Exactly. Don't waste time or money on other resources. I'm not putting other resources down, but what we have is almost a bulletproof, as long as you do what you need to do.
Exactly. I did another course before, but not the course. I just did the QBank.
Okay.
And then I ended up passing that first exam. And this time, I'm telling you, I felt like I know so much more when I walked into the test, even though the test was hard. For me, the test was difficult. And I didn't check my result until like 3 hours later, because I was so scared.
Well, you did it. So what is next for you now?
I want to sign up for your pharmacology class.
Yes, please send me an email so I can send you a nice coupon and you know
Okay.
and get you started. It is a different vibe. It is a harder class, but stick
Okay.
to it. You know, dedicate 1 week per module, just like you've done, and
Yes.
then in 10 weeks you'll be done. And then I promise you, if you follow the psychopharmacology class, you can stand toe to toe with a psychiatrist any day because what is covered there is in detail, excruciating detail, in fact. But
Good.
well, thank you, Jacqueline. It's
Well, thank
always great
you
news.
so much. Oh my
My,
God, you've made such a big difference in my life. I can go to work
oh
now
my
and
God.
put behind my name, BC.
There you go. Whoop, whoop. I gotta give a congratulations to that. Good job, Jacqueline.
Dr.
Thank you so much.
Lopez,
Yes, hi.
hi. What is the pharmacology class? I feel like I
Uh,
missed something.
don't take that class unless if you pass the board. Okay.
Ah,
Okay, so that class is for after you pass the board, you take that
Yes,
class. Okay.
because you guys do not need it. I have so many orders that I cancel. I call the customer back and say, what is the reason why you're taking this class? Well, because I need for the board. I'm saying, I'm going to cancel your class. That is not the right one. That's crazy, right? Who would do that? I do it because I know it's not going to serve them well. You do not need to be a super medication, master to pass the board. What you need is this. So, that is for after. So I don't even talk about it because it's not needed. It's just going to take your time. I don't want to take your time if it's not going to benefit you, okay, at all. All right. So let's get we'll get started right now, guys. Just give me one more minute. Honest, Ernestine, Miss Hughes.
Dr. Lopez, I
Hi.
passed.
You passed you? Oh my God.
Yes,
Not you. I mean, so many people that are passing. They're like,
I
I'm telling
know.
you, I lose count. So many of you guys are just doing so well. Wonderful.
I passed on December 19th.
Oh my. Wow.
And
That is
so
awesome.
the crash course was good. The videos of all the modules, I did those. And I did all the diagnostic tests. The question bank, some of them I did twice, some three. And I could just hear your voice. Thank you
Oh
so
my.
much for passionately teaching us. I
I,
learned
I,
so much more from you than when I was in school.
oh my. Thank you. You're so kind. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a passion to me. That's why I do not like to lose anybody along the way. So thank you so much. That is very encouraging to hear from you and your success. So I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Laura. Hi there. Laura, are you trying to speak? If not, Latoya, are you there, Latoya? Laura, Latoya, any of you guys are trying to speak? If you are, both of you guys are muted.
Hi, Dr. Lopez. This is
Hi,
Laura.
hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm one of the quiet ones in the group, but I just wanted to come out and say thank you so much. I passed my test.
Whoop whoop. When did you take the
Woo!
board?
I took it December 30th.
December.
And
Wow, we're starting the new year the right way. So that's
yes,
awesome.
Dr. Lopez, I went in by question 40. I already knew I was going to pass because it was so like everything was everything that I studied in the crash course. I
Yeah.
just, I mean, some of the questions were the same, including the answer options. I could not believe it.
Yeah, I mean, they seem the same because they've been, you've been practiced so many questions, over 1,000 questions here and there. All things get, you know, kind of cluttered. But I am so happy that you found the right rhythm and then you achieve your success. How many times did you take the diagnostic test, by the way?
I only took it once,
Only once
each
is
one.
perfect.
Yeah,
And then
I took, yeah, only
let
once,
me ask
each
you a
one.
question. Did you score more than 80 on this diagnostic test on the second
So
time?
the first one I scored
Okay.
79. The rest
Okay.
was between 86 and 90.
I'm telling you guys, if you score more than 80, when you get to the end of the course, that means you already passed the board.
I
mean, it's
knew that I was ready when during the crash course when you were asking the questions and I was answering them before looking at
like
the answers.
perfect.
That was my cue to sign, pick a test date and go take the test.
And go take it. There is no purpose on waiting when you're ready to go. It just actually takes away from you if you're ready and you sit on a material. If you are hitting 80s, that is the magic point for you, for everybody else. So thank you so much for stopping by. So
I
many good news.
appreciate
Oh
you.
my
May
God.
God bless you, Dr. Lopez. You are
Thank
doing
you.
amazing work.
Oh, I appreciate it. Send me an email, please. So that
I
way, if
will,
you,
because I'm gonna join the from college class too. I
okay,
will.
I'll talk to you soon, Laura. Thank you. All right.
Yes.
Latoya, are you there? You trying to speak earlier and I muted you by mistake.
Hello, Dr.
Hello, Latoya.
Lopez. Hi, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I had actually emailed you
Okay.
the question. So yeah, I'll talk to you later about it. It's
Okay.
not important.
All right. No worries. All right.
All
Last
right.
person here is Laureen, and then we get started with module 5. Real quick, Laureen, if you have, please go
Yes,
ahead.
hi, Dr. Lopez.
Hi.
Regarding hi there, regarding the crash course review questions, is
Right.
that the same questions listed under the crash course review?
No.
It's like recorded. If they're
No.
different then? Okay.
Yeah, these are different questions. These are about 600 questions that I prepare and release them on the week of the crash course review. What I'm going to do is release it to everybody now, and then release it again before the week of the 20th of this month. So just in case if
Okay.
somebody is taking the test soon.
I'm taking it the 17th, so I
Okay.
shooted you an email, see
Right.
if I can get access to
So
those.
what is most important for you is not even those questions, and is knowing the document under the crash course review, knowing them so well that is the magic right here, guys. If you know these documents so well, and then you proceed to apply what you know in the diagnostic test, that is the magic right there. Okay, so do not skip knowing these documents. Read them, understand, being able to speak about it, even dreaming about it is a sign that you know. Okay, all right, folks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. So let's get started. The main point of this is what I'm so glad that everyone took the time to stop in and kind of say hello, because I was anxious today because I emailed 3 people and they wanted to take the test soon, and I know they haven't done the work. That is the recipe for disaster. And I don't like to see anyone not pass the board. I hate that feeling. So please, 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 if you have the bandwidth to postpone your test date, just do it when you have done the work. Don't try to pass the board if you have not done the work, because it's most likely, as you see, we have nurse practitioner, internal medicine. Those are very smart people, and they didn't pass. We have doctors in our class before from other countries, but still doctors of internal medicine and still have not passed the board. This is not a test that you want to play with. This is not the one, I promise you. So, but the silver lining is that you have what it takes, and today we'll kick off the year with module 5, culture. When we speak about culture, is one of those subjects that you would never get those questions right unless if you attended a specialized course, because some of the answers do not make sense at all. Who would, if someone comes with an infection in the arm, would say, tell me what it means to rub leaf in your arms. Tell me a little bit more about your culture. No, the right answer would be get culture sensitivity, get the culture of what is growing and prescribe antibiotics. But that is not the answer for the board, right? So that's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover how to get those questions right about laws in psychiatry. Some of these questions may be a little bit distressful to you because I cannot give you 100% answer, right? Should I call the police or should I alert the possible victim? Well, it all depends. And we are going to talk about those cases, how they differ from each other, and what most likely could be the right answer. Now, the last thing is, if you are new to the course, and if you have not attended yesterday, once you come to the home, right, once you sign in, You got your magic link. The team uploaded this for me yesterday. I didn't even know, but it's right here, our meetings from yesterday. Okay. So this covers everything you need to know about the course, questions, where the question bank, where are the documents, where is the diagnostic test, is right here. Just take a time. It's kind of long because I answered a lot of questions, about an hour, but it's well worth it. So if you have the right tools right from the beginning, you are all set to pass the board. So let's get started right now with module 5. Again, this is true for each of the modules. Where is your document? Your document is always under the first training of each module. What is the first training? For the module 5 is the scope of practice versus standard of practice, right? So let's talk about that for a second. What is the scope of practice versus the standard of practice, and why does it matter? So when we say scope of practice, let me move this over here so I can see it a little bit better. When do we say scope of practice? When you hear scope, think of state. When you hear standard, think of quality, which is national, which means ANA. ANA sets the standard, okay? And the scope pretty much is what you can and cannot do on your state, okay? So now let's think about this for a second. Why does it matter? Well, think about Tarasoff principle, right? Which is the duty to warn. Why not calling the victim and say, you are at risk of being hurt? Because the Tarasoff principle does not apply to each state. And the national board is national. Since it does not apply to each state, what is a safe answer? Calling the police or calling the state board of nursing. Who would think of calling the state board of nursing? But it goes back to the scope of practice, right? Which is the term used by national and state licensing board for various professions, in this case, the nursing, for what they can and cannot do with their license in their state. Okay? So, do we have, go ahead, Ernestine. If you have a question, I think it was you, not sure. All right, maybe not.
No, I'm done.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, no worries. So please know scope means state. Okay, so scope of practice is determined by the state. Who determines? The state legislature, right? Which is together with the state board of nursing. Texas, you may not be able to practice alone. Maryland, you can, and so forth, so on, right? So the scope of practice for nurse practitioner defines what the nurse practitioner roles and action, what they can and cannot do, and defines the competency assumed to be held by all nurse practitioners who function in their role, right? The board has various variations from state to state. As we mentioned, each state is different, right? And how do you support the scope, the state, right? How do you support the scope of practice? By displaying leadership, advocate for NP issues throughout the profession, and join relevant organization like ANA. So what we need to know about this scope, we need to know is determined by the state. Each state has its own. It defines the roles and actions. And how do we support the scope of practice? By joining organizations. These are very likely to be board questions. Professional involvement is how you get things done, right? For example, how did the family nurse practitioners in Florida were able to move from dependent to independent practice? They lobbied together, right, in the state to make that happen. So from now on, you hear scope, you say state, roles, and obligations within the state, and how do you help you guys help us display leadership, right? How you support the scope of practice by displaying leadership and joining organizations. These are very important points, okay? How about the standards, right? So the standard of practice, well, let's go back here for a second. If a medical evaluation is out of the scope, how do you know? Usually, we get together with other professional. Interprofessional collaboration is how we define if something's out of the scope of practice, right? Interprofessional organization is always encouraged and critical for patients, critical for the patients, as a PMHNP act as a patient advocate. Let me give you an example. Last year, I had to pull someone aside. It was a social worker that wasn't doing probably wasn't doing a very good job. So I had to call the doctors, the clinical director. So we sat down and did an interprofessional collaboration to determine if she was acting within or outside her scope of practice. Okay, so who sets the minimum requirement for MPs? Who sets the minimum requirements for MPs? So the minimum requirement is set by the scope of practice. So the state and the Board of Nursing sets the minimum requirement for us. Okay, so we know now what the scope is. We know how to protect or how to display leadership by joining organization, and who sets the minimum standard for us to practice is the state, the state Board of Nursing plus the state together, which sets the scope of practice, right? So a little pearl here. When answers often requires to contact the State Board of Nursing, that is good answers. Okay, even if it's the Tarasoff principle, or when someone is likely to be hurt or imminent dangers. Okay, this is uncommon, but we now know why the calling the State Board of Nursing is the right answer, because who sets the minimum standard? The State Board of Nursing and the state, right? So if the answers requires you to report your colleague or supervisor, are often incorrect, because it's not about reporting them. It's about just culture of care, doing what is right for the patients. Okay, so for example, calling the physician saying that he's bullying the nurses for not answering the phone call, it's very likely not to be the right answer. Okay, so state laws and the Nurse Practice Act determined by the state. Okay, all right, so very good. Let's move on. Again, just a little acronym. When you think of state, determined by the state legislation, the scope, right, defines what the nurse practitioner roles, actions, and competency. The legislation is the variation between from state to state. How do you advocate for patients? By displaying leadership. Interprofessional collaboration is a must to evaluate the scope. And who sets the minimum requirement? Again, the Board of Nursing, and the state sets the minimum requirement for MPs. Just a little summary of what we cover about scope. Now comes the bigger umbrella. So think of a state or scope for each one of the 50 states. Each one of them have a scope. And who sets the standard for the United States is American Nursing Association. Think of the standard as a bigger umbrella that says what you should do or what you can do, and then is redefined by the scope, right? So who sets the standard is the American Nurse Association, which send out a authoritative statement regarding the quality. So from now on, you write down standard equals to quality. The quality and the type of a practice that should be provided. Okay? So it doesn't mean that because they set the standard, it will be the same on each state. Very different. The standard is a bigger umbrella. It provides a way. Why do they give you a standard? Well, guess what? They give you a standard because they want to judge you. I know it sounds poor, right? But it's a way to judge the nature of care provided. And now, because we have a way to judge the care provided, we can take you to court and say you did or did not follow the standard of care. Very important. So standard, ANA, standard means quality of care. Why? To judge the quality of care. So therefore, when you do not meet the quality of care, you can be taken to court, and that's what they're going to use, whether you follow the standard or you didn't. So the law requires the PMHNPs to carry out care per reasonable, prudent criteria that other nurses would do in similar situations. So that is important. Why is this important? Well, because you cannot be judged by what a psychiatrist would do. You cannot be judged by what a social worker would do. You will always be judged by what others PMHNP would do in a similar situation, right? So thus providing a high quality of care consistent with the established standard of care, okay? So standard of care is quality of care. Standard of care means equals to quality. And where does the MP Code of Ethics come from? The same place that the standards come from, ANA. Okay, so standard equals to quality. Why? To judge. And who creates the standard? ANA. Who sets the quality of care, right? The ethics, the codes of ethics, ANA. So where does the MP Code of Ethics comes from? ANA is the bigger organizations, and we have other organizations under there. So whether the standard for MPs is ANA, but for example, for PMHNPs, the American Psychiatric Nursing Association, or APNA, or ANA for MPs. Okay, so very simple. We talked about the scope. Then we moved on to the bigger umbrella, which is the standard of practice, right? Why? To judge you. Let's be very clear. To judge you if you met the standard or you did not meet the standard. You worked so hard to this point. Let's always meet the standard. So the way you maintain your license. Okay. All right. So again, a little mnemonic here. You can say who sets the standards? The American Nurse Association. Why? To judge you. It sets the protocol, which is the standard of care that can be legally.
Yeah, do you want to listen to this?
It can be legally brought to courts. Elizabeth, I think your mic is on, kindly, please.
Okay.
Okay. And there's a consistent mean the consistent quality of care between.
Okay.
Okay, the consistent quality of care between you and another PMHNP. Okay, so the standard practice. What is the standard practice? Well, how we assess, we diagnose, we do outcome identification, planning, and implementation, right? So standard of professional performance, the quality of care, the education, the professional practice. None of this is very important, but I just want to give you an example of the standard of care for nurse practice. Okay, what is important is who sets the standard, what is the standard, and the why is the standard set, and the code of ethics. Okay, all right, so little recall, what's the difference between the scope of practice and standard of practice. We got that. The scope is described by the test that the Nurse Practice Act authorization for the nurses, which is determined by the state and the Board of Nursing. Standards is related to the bigger concept. The whole United States has one standard of care, which describes how the tasks within the scope of practice should be performed. And who determines that? ANA. And why? To judge the care that you provide or didn't provide. Okay? They got to have something in order to take someone to court. What is the standard? Well, let's talk to ANA, right? So here is actually a good question because it's all about the court. So you are a court evaluating the standard. So immediately we say quality. Immediately we say ANA of care provided by a PMHNP would primarily prioritize the following. So when you are answering questions, specifically now, not if you're testing tomorrow, right? Try to read the question and not look at the answer. No, I'm not crazy. But what this will do is if you say you have a court is evaluating the standard of care by a PMHNP would prioritize what? And then you can come up with things like if they follow the standard, if they compare the care provided by another qualified candidate of the same education, right? So these are kind of things that would blow out of my mouth. And then you would go back here and see if any of your answers match anything close to that. Okay, so would they be primarily focusing on holding the same standard as a psychiatrist? So basically we answered no. Would we compare their actions to the standard prevailing professional practice of a competent PMHNP in a similar situation? So I just answered the question without looking at the answer, right? It's a way to judge is based solely anytime you hear only, always, every time, must be. These are too strong of words. Should be cautious. So it's solely on patient satisfaction? Absolutely not. Or is it to scrutinize the PMHNP patient chart? No, it's not. So we answer the question without looking at the answer. What this will do for you is preventing you from going between A and B because you are in between, because B maybe sounds good, but it prevents you from going blind. If you have something to go on, most likely, if it matches the answer, it will prevent you from selecting the incorrect answer just because it sounds good. Okay. All right. So yeah, comparing their actions to the established prevailing professional practice of a competent PMHNP in a similar situation. That is what the standard of care is all about, right? All right. Where should an AMP find the most up-to-date information on their state-specific scope of practice? Where would I go to find out more about my state? That's what the question is asking me. Well, I probably would call the State Board of Nursing. Let's see if we find something like that. Professional Association website, the online MP forum, the State Board of Nursing. Right? Because we're talking about the scope. Who am I going to call for the scope is the state. So I would look for something that has State Board of Nursing. Okay. The national MP certification, no, because certification is national. National means standard. Standard of care means ANA. So practice that. Practice answering the question before you look at the answers. It will save you 10, 20, 30 questions that you could have. Have you ever felt like when you took a test, like I nailed it, and then you look at your score and be like, what? That cannot be right? It's because you picked something that has sounded good and you deviated from what you know, right? So practice answering the question. That will help you so much. All right, so that is easy and peasy. That is module 5, training number 1. So let me stop here because this is being recorded, so we can actually stop this one. Stop taking notes. Oh, no, I don't want to stop taking